The iPad Pro is the best tablet ever made. The iPad Pro has no competitors. The iPad Pro simply wins because of the Apple ecosystem. These are all statements we hear and read time and time again. All the news articles, all the tweets, and all the reviews on YouTube point to the iPad Pro as the king of tablets. And for good reason. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm an avid iPad Pro user myself, and I think this tablet is fantastic. But what if I told you there's an overlooked tablet out there that I feel like is slightly better than the iPad Pro? A tablet that's gone under the radar, a tablet with an absolute monstrosity of a display. This, my friends, is the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 Ultra, an absolute behemoth of a tablet that is certainly worth considering. Of course, now the question becomes, is the Tab S9 Ultra the best tablet that money can buy? And I believe it is. Let me explain.
I've been feeling so small. Watch the clock ticking off the wall.
How's it going, everyone? My name is RJ, and I've been using the Tab S9 Ultra as my go-to tablet for over 3 weeks now, and I think this year Samsung hit it out of the park with this tablet. On the exterior, it may look quite similar to last year's Tab S8 Ultra, which is a fair assessment to make. But this year, I feel like Samsung did make plenty of subtle refinements that make this year's Tab S9 Ultra an absolute beast. If you guys want to see more in-depth content on the Tab S9 Ultra, or any Samsung device for that matter, then of course, make sure you do subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a lot, and I really appreciate you guys for it. By the way, some of the wallpapers you guys see in this video are a part of my wallpaper pack, so if you do like what you see and you do want to support the channel, then make sure to check out the description below. It's no secret that Samsung makes some of the best displays on the market, and I think the engineering of the Tab S9 Ultra is just ridiculous. I mean, think about it. This is a 14.6-inch AMOLED display that somehow feels lightweight and doesn't bend in the middle. The Tab S9 Ultra is such a pleasure to interact with. The display delivers stunning picture quality that makes videos and games look spectacular. The 120Hz refresh rate helps video run smoothly, and just casually scrolling through the tablet feels super smooth and fluid. I'm an absolute enthusiast for big displays, and it's no secret that I love watching content on big screens. The Tab S9 Ultra's display is sufficiently bright and colorful when watching 4K videos. The blacks are excellent, and the brightness is more than enough no matter the environment. About 2 weeks ago, I went to Spain and Portugal. It's about a 7-hour plane ride from Toronto to Lisbon, and during that time, I binge watched my favorite new YouTube channel, The Y-Files. I downloaded a bunch of his videos offline, and I'm telling you, everyone on that plane was super jealous. I was using this thing to just kill time. I was just so captivated watching content on an AMOLED panel as big as this that the time just flew by quickly. This is arguably the best tablet for media consumption. Solid picture quality all around, the viewing angles are fantastic. It quite honestly does feel like I'm holding a portable TV in the palm of my hand. This is such a futuristic looking tablet, something straight out of Westworld. The media consumption experience just doesn't stop there. This year, the Tab S9 Ultra comes equipped with a quad stereo speaker setup with Dolby Atmos support. I try to avoid using earbuds as much as possible. I'm just not a fan of sticking things into my ear, so I do heavily rely on speakers of whatever device I'm using. Let me tell you, the sound coming out of this thing is impressive. It's louder than the Tab S8 Ultra speakers for sure. There's very little distortion at max volume. The speakers this year deliver more bass, and watching TV and movie shows even at half volume sounds fantastic. The quad stereo speakers plus the gigantic display makes for a much more immersive media consumption experience than the iPad Pro, at least in my opinion. On the exterior, this thing looks the same as last year's version. There's no denying that. But on the interior, we find the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor and a new vapor cooling system for even higher efficiency. There's no doubt about it. This tablet is a performance beast. There's really nothing it can't do. Whether you're multitasking with a ton of windows open, or whether you're editing a YouTube video such as this one, the Tab S9 Ultra doesn't overheat, or even get slightly warm to the touch. That just speaks volumes to the improved efficiency of the internals. Even when I'm playing graphic intense games like League of Legends Wild Rift for about 2 or 3 hours, I don't get concerned about the overheating. The tablet does feel slightly warm to the touch, but nothing that's a cause for concern. Of course, this is an Android tablet, so it doesn't run iPad OS. It runs something arguably better, Android 13 with Samsung's very own One UI 6.0 on top. I find it to be much more snappier and more responsive than last year's Tab S8 Ultra. If you're already entrenched into the Samsung ecosystem, there are a ton of useful Samsung apps you can take advantage of. Here's where the iPad Pro simply can't compete, and that's with Samsung DeX. When you plug in an iPad Pro to an external monitor, you get this: black bars on either side and just a blown up version of your iPad. However, when you plug in the Tab S9 Ultra, you get this: Samsung DeX. DeX mode is able to readjust and reposition apps and windows to make a tablet feel like a proper desktop. If you opt to buy a keyboard cover, which I don't have at the moment, but I did have on my Tab S8 Ultra, you can also get a laptop version of DeX, which I did genuinely enjoy using on a daily basis. A The stylus called the S Pen comes included in the box with the Tab S9 Ultra. This year, the S Pen is slightly more tactile than before. I use it to sign documents for the channel, and quite recently I started taking up journaling. I prefer to write rather than type out my journals, and the S Pen is just excellent for that. This year, GoodNotes is finally available for Android, and I love GoodNotes for everything, from learning how to read and write Korean to just everyday journaling. I've also noticed this year there's more of a pencil to paper-like tactile feedback, very similar to the experience you get on the iPad Pro. The improved S Pen now features an IP68 rating, and bi-directional charging just means no matter which side you place your S Pen on, it'll charge. Battery life, I would argue, is on par or even better than the iPad Pro. This thing's got a massive 11,200 mAh battery, and it can easily last me about 7-8 hours a day. Of course, this does depend on your usage. If I'm gaming all day long, then inevitably the battery life is going to take a hit. But just for regular tablet stuff like watching movies, scrolling through socials, multitasking, and taking video calls, the battery life on this thing is fantastic. The Tab S9 Ultra is also capable of 45-watt fast charging, but the charging brick isn't included in the box. If you're in the market for some compact fast charging bricks, I'll leave a link for you guys in the description below. For the first time ever, we have an IP68 water and dust resistant rating, which technically means you can completely submerge the Tab S9 Ultra underwater. It's not something I'll be testing, but I do trust the rating. Believe it or not, there's a lot that the Tab S9 Ultra does better than the iPad Pro. For example, it's got two selfie cameras hidden within this notch. One is a regular front-facing camera, and the other is an ultra-wide camera. It's also got auto framing, which keeps you directly in the center of the frame even if you do move side to side. Kind of like center stage, which is found on the iPad. But what does this have to do with the iPad Pro, you ask? Well, the cameras are actually placed alongside the long side of the tablet, rather than on the short side like what's found on the iPad Pro. This positioning just makes using the Tab S9 Ultra all the more convenient for video calls and taking selfies. Speaking of taking pictures on a tablet, this has got to be one of the biggest viewfinders I've ever used to take a shot. Just look at the size of this thing. The Tab S9 Ultra is more than just a media consumption device. It's got so much more to offer, especially when it comes to productivity. Thanks to useful One UI features such as multi-window multitasking features and pop-up windows, you can quite literally open up a multitude of apps and multitask away. My favorite go-to combo is usually the Telegram group on the top right, Twitter on the top left, and Samsung Notes on the bottom. I'm always conjuring up video ideas or just jotting down my thoughts about some of the products I have to review, and all of this just works and aligns perfectly thanks to the 16:10 aspect ratio. So what do I personally like about the Tab S9 Ultra that makes it a better buy than the iPad Pro? Well, let's see. A massive 14.6-inch AMOLED panel that I can hold in my hands, a 120Hz refresh rate, a massive 11,200 mAh battery, incredible quad stereo speakers, a minimum of 12 GB of RAM, a terabyte of internal storage with an expandable terabyte of micro SD card storage, and my preferred method of biometrics, a reliable fingerprint scanner. For all those reasons stated, I find the Tab S9 Ultra to be a better value buy than the iPad Pro. Of course, the iPad has the familiarity advantage, the iMessage, the FaceTime. It's quite honestly the safe buy. But I encourage you guys watching to try something new. Step out of your comfort zone and take that leap of faith on the Tab S9 Ultra. I believe that you guys will love it. All in all, Samsung knocked it out of the park this year with the Tab S9 Ultra. Yes, the improvements are pretty minor, but in my opinion, they were all necessary refinements to make the best tablet on the market slightly better. By far, the performance improvements are the most impressive. Better efficiency also means less heat and ultimately battery longevity. If you guys are interested, make sure to check out some of the links in the description below. These tablets are on sale right now and you might be able to get a huge discount. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you made it to the end of this video, drop a dolphin emoji down in the comments below so I know exactly who my true supporters are. I really do appreciate each and every single one of you watching the videos. And don't forget to flex with your tech.